Shut it!
It was a slow day, and the sun was beating on the soldiers by the side of the road. There was a bright light, a shattering of shop windows. The bomb in the baby carriage was wired to the radio. These are the days of miracle and wonder. This is the long distance call. The way the camera follows us in slow-mo, the way we look to a song, the way we look to a distant constellation that's dying in a corner of the sky. These are the days of miracle and wonder. Don't cry, baby, don't cry, don't cry. It was a dry wind, and it swept across the desert, and it curled into the circle of birth, and the dead sand falling on the children, the mothers and the fathers, and the automatic earth. These are the days of miracle and wonder. This is the long distance call. The way the camera follows us in slow-mo, the way we look to a song, the way we look to a distant constellation that's dying in a corner of the sky. These are the days of miracle and wonder. Don't cry, baby, don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. Well, it's a turnaround jump shot. It's everybody jump start. Every generation throws a hero up the pop charts. Medicine is magical, and magical is art. Think of the boy in the bubble, and the baby with the bubble heart. These are the days of lasers in the jungle. Lasers in the jungle somewhere. Staccato signals of constant information. A loose affiliation of millionaires and billionaires and baby. These are the days of miracle and wonder. This is the long distance call. The way the camera follows us in slow-mo, the way we look to a song, the way we look to a distant constellation that's dying in a corner of the sky. These are the days of miracle and wonder. Don't cry, baby, don't cry, don't cry.
Hello?
Hi!
We are on the Dead Sea in Israel, and look what an amazing natural phenomenon. This is salt cube. All the beach here is around a lot of like this salt cube. It's amazing. Now we are making our temple.
It's like an orange on a toothpaste.
It's amazing. It's a perfect cube.
Huge noggin. It's a virtual planetoid. Has its own weather system.
I will try to find new cubes.
Move. You're in my eyes.
There is one.
In my dream. You are my eyes.
It's 100% salt.
You're in my eyes. You're Celtic. United on, baby. I decided you're the best thing that's happened to me.
Try to find another one.
In 1973, Angela Merkel stepped out of the long shadow cast by her father and went to university in the East German city of Leipzig to study physics. 4 years later, aged 23, she got married to Ulrich Merkel, a fellow physics student she'd met during a Russian exchange trip. They had a one-room flat in Leipzig. After graduating, they moved to East Berlin, where Merkel started a PhD. Her doctorate was in quantum chemistry, a theoretical field in which she looked at the decay of hydrocarbon molecules. She finished her doctorate and then worked as a researcher at the Academy of Sciences in Adlershof, then the most important research institution in East Germany.
It was organized like a Soviet Academy of the Sciences. It was an independent research institution. There were thousands of scientists working here. She was doing her PhD here in this building, making research for that, with great expectations for a career as a scientist in East Germany.
One of those ambitious young scientists was Michael Schindhelm.
Angela was working there. She was the only female. I was 23, she was maybe 28 or so, 29. And a very, very open-minded and cheerful person. I could see that she really wants to become a kind of serious shot in the field of theoretical chemistry.
Studying quantum chemistry wasn't simply Angela Merkel's first passion. Science was a way of keeping out of the watchful eye of the East German regime.
Our department dealt with something which was not crucial for the victory of the communist world over the bad and evil capitalism. So that's why we had more leeway, I would say, also intellectually, ideologically, in comparison to many of our colleagues who were closer to the industry and had really to achieve results which could be translated into economical revenue or development at least.
The connection between science and politics isn't quite as obscure as it may seem. Angela Merkel said that she always wanted to use power. It's just that before the wall came down, she wanted power over molecules to change the world. And after the wall came down, it was power on a wider stage. And the comparison with the young Margaret Thatcher is hard to avoid, another scientist. But there's a very, very interesting distinction. From her early 20s to her mid-30s, Angela Merkel was completely unable to express her real views. It was far too dangerous. And it's from there, surely, that the woman who used to be known as the grey mouse got her habit of caution and discretion and never revealing too much about herself. In the early 1980s, Angela Merkel's marriage broke up, but she kept her husband's name. She moved out of their flat and into a squat in East Berlin, close to her friend Michael Schindhelm.
We lived at that time in East Berlin, in this kind of bohemian neighborhood of Prenzlauer Berg, and the Academy of Sciences were in the far south of the city. So we had to cross the city every morning by train. At several points we were looking actually not only at the wall between dividing the two parts of the city, but even beyond. So you could always see the other part of the city, which was at the same time for us a no-go area. Our mind was sort of shaped by this kind of absurd of a social situation, being trapped, being locked in, trying to find channels to look out also.
But Merkel wouldn't be trapped for much longer. Across the Eastern Bloc, things were starting to change.
Mr. Gorbachev has moved rapidly through the Soviet hierarchy, but never more rapidly than today.
In March 1985, Mikhail Gorbachev became leader of the Soviet Union and began his program of perestroika, a radical restructuring of his country's economy.
Some 30 world leaders were in Moscow, all wanted a mini-summit with Mr. Gorbachev.
The news of Gorbachev's reforms gripped East Germany. Merkel and her friends sensed that their moment was rapidly approaching. They were still discussing politics in private, but now these misgivings were simmering under the surface, ready to burst out into the open.
In many ways, we of course did not enjoy an urban life, and so we most of the time met friends at home. And there was always a little bit of almost conspiracy involved, in the sense that you would always know that a few people who show up may also be involved in certain political activities.
When you live in a dictatorship, it probably might be dangerous to talk about politics. But they were watching West German TV. They were listening to West German radio. So they were all informed about what's going on in the world.